You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch on witch, the wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, a GC Sports production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network, episode 48. Nick, ding dong, the witch is dead. It's finally over. Reese and McAdoo.
What is this? It's daylight. Oh my God! It burns.
Reese and McAdoo have been fired. They have been told hit the road.
Giving the old heave ho. Don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. That kind of thing. Yeah, that's. Finally, we all knew. Look, we all knew this was coming, right?
Right. I said after week 5, McAdoo was going to be fired before Christmas.
And you know what? He gave us a hell of an early Christmas gift.
Yep. Goodbye. I mean, you hate to see somebody lose their job, but it's like, at this point, what else was there to do?
Nothing. You could not keep this man around and still have your dignity intact. And I'm not entirely sure that they do have their dignity intact because of this whole Eli thing. Because this is going to go down in history as one of the biggest blunders that this organization has ever made.
I mean, yeah, that is saying something, but I would have more understanding if this was for Davis Webb. But for Geno Smith, who the Jets could have told you that this was a mistake. The Jets could have told you that. And why? What was I never understood the point in signing Geno. I always felt with how the quarterbacks are and with where Eli is in his career, the depth chart should be Eli, then Webb, and then Smith.
I don't know why Rex Bryan didn't try to warn them. I mean, he's always been like the fat canary in the coal mine.
And funny enough, you mentioned that, and so Week 13 happened. Maybe we'll try to touch more on this in our actual Week 13 recap, but Geno Smith's stat line was, I mean, it was okay, but for what...
Fairly similar to Eli's this season, actually.
Right, but for what you expect... Well, if you're going to say that, then why was Eli not out there?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We all hope. Well, we hope that they'll be able to pick a quarterback in the upcoming draft. But you got to pay Eli the courtesy. He's been the guy for almost 15 years.
Exactly. I don't understand. It's like. Mara had a press conference this past, was it Tuesday or Wednesday where the press conference happened?
It was Tuesday.
Tuesday, because Monday was
my birthday, actually, yeah.
Monday was the day they got fired. Because I'm trying to pull up on our Unspoken Podcast Twitter because we were live tweeting the press conference and some quotes that were given by Mara. So from what we understand from Mara's perspective, it was 10:30 a.m. when they talked with Jerry Reese, and they fired Reese first. It was reported first, McAdoo's firing was reported first, but Reese was actually fired first. Reese was fired at 10:30 a.m. on Monday morning. Mara described it as one of the toughest he's ever had because you never realize it, but Reese was actually around the Giants organization since the mid-'90s.
Yeah, well, he was an assistant to Ernie Accorsi, wasn't he?
Right. I think he was one of those classic cases where he signs on as one of these young interns or young workers and then made his way up.
Exactly. Kind of what Cashman did when he joined the Yankees.
Exactly. Mara then met with Kevin Abrams, who has taken on the role as interim general manager for the time being. Then he met with Ben McAdoo, thanked McAdoo, and then told him to hand over his key card.
Actually told him to hand over his key card?
No, but I would like to imagine.
Thank you for your service, but cough it the fuck up, slickback boy. Come on.
I'm gonna be here as long as my key card works.
You're not taking it from me? Give him a key card back. Oh, you'll get it back, all right.
In case anybody doesn't know, because we're not seeing on camera, Nick pretended that McAdoo ate the key card. No, but I would have found it funnier if he went to his door, slid his key card, and it just didn't work, and he just tried again and again and again and again.
Yeah. That would have been funny. But still, so Spagnuolo takes over for McAdoo for the rest of the season at least. Right.
Funny enough, I was talking with our friend Melissa on Tuesday, and she said she actually was surprised they didn't hire Spags as the head coach after Coughlin in the first place. They why didn't they choose Spags over Mac?
Well, I can think of it. Well, he sucked when he was with the Rams. That's probably the one thing that gives you pause.
That is true. That's very true. And I do think that is why probably they didn't go with that. They would have rather trusted in a rookie head coach, basically. And to be fair, McAdoo did have an 11-5 season. Nothing will take that away.
No, nothing will take that away. But this is definitely, remember, when you fail spectacularly, when you fail like a 4th of July fireworks show, when you fail when you've got sparklers shoved up your ass, that's something that people remember. Because people don't remember 8-8 seasons. They don't remember 9-7 seasons when you squeak in to miss the playoffs and get eliminated in the first round, or you're 9-7 and you miss out on the playoffs. They remember spectacular failure, and that's what this season has been.
Yeah, and Mara actually referenced that, saying Eli's decision had no effect, supposedly, that the team needed an overhaul after going 2-10. But
of course it didn't.
But these signs have been pointing for a while, so it's like, why now? Like, Eli was just, I think it had something to do. I think it was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
I don't know why it took this straw, because not only was the writing on the wall, you could practically tattoo it onto Mara's forehead. He could look into a mirror and not even realize that he would have to do anything.
Because he wanted to wait until the end of the season, but at this point... And then Mara took responsibility for the Eli benching decision. He said he hoped Eli would have played so well that it would have been impossible to do, like they would say it, and then Eli would play spectacularly, and then they're like, you know what? Just go out there, Eli.
But it's not his fault he hasn't done well.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's deserving that McAdoo is fired, because honestly, I'm just going to say the word. It might sound too far, but witch hunt. It's been a witch hunt. Like how Goodell has his witch hunts that we talk about. This was a witch hunt by McAdoo. Like, all these offensive line problems, all these running game problems, and all the receivers injured.
Toss Eli under the bus when it doesn't work.
Exactly. Which is not right. Not right at all.
He was a quarterback's coach. He's supposed to know what Eli is capable of and what he's not capable of.
I was going to say, isn't he was the offensive coordinator for the past couple of years before taking over for Coughlin. He should know all these players. Like
you would think that it'd be the case, but that's why we find ourselves in the position we are in today.
Marek went on to say there are certain guys not playing up to their level where they should be. Our team isn't good enough, obviously, because it's not a secret. The Giants came in as possible Super Bowl contenders for this year, and well, look where we are.
Well, you know what he's essentially saying?
What?
What he's essentially, well, say it with me, okay? 3, 2, 1. No shit! That's what the whole response to this should be.
So, Nick, this is going to bring about a question now. Who should take over? Who should be? Well, we have to. I'll state this for the record. It's going to sound logic, like a no shit thing coming out of my mouth, but Mara did mention it, so they are going to find a general manager first before making a head coach decision.
As they should.
Exactly, especially with a draft coming up, possibly one of the biggest drafts I feel in Giants history, because this is make or break.
Since drafting
Eli.
Since they drafted Eli. But it's going to be, see, I'm hearing a lot of names bandied about. You're hearing a lot of, Sean, what's his name from the Patriots?
Josh McDaniel?
Yeah, Josh McDaniel, not Sean, what's his name?
Oh, I know.
I'm an idiot, folks.
You're talking the general manager position first.
Yeah.
Okay, so the general manager, I think that's Caserio.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Caserio is one possibility. Trying to see who else. Because now when I say Caserio, because we mentioned McDaniels, basically Caserio would be the general manager, McDaniels would be the head coach. It's basically a pairing of Belichick's right-hand men, and of course the Giants famously upset the Patriots twice in Super Bowls, so it's like...
I'm a little wary about drafting these Patriots wonderkins because we all remember Eric Mangenius.
I mean, so yeah, there is that. One possibility, the other name that I've heard for general manager, CBS actually listed him as a general manager to watch, is Dave Gettleman. And supposedly he is the favorite as of right now from what I'm hearing. He was the former Carolina Panthers general manager. He was let go this past January. I think there were things that just made his tenure end, terribly. But we all forget, Gettleman was actually a part of the Giants organization for some time. He was a scout for a long time and was a pro personnel guy before leaving. And, of course, he was actually instrumental in helping Jerry Richardson hire him.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's see what he can do if he's the guy they pick.
Whoever they pick. As much as things ended badly for Gettleman in Carolina, he was overseeing them when they were 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl recently. So
you can't discount that.
Right. So I got a feeling I might have to go with Gettleman. And then for head coach, there's been a couple of other names other than Josh McDaniels. Now, one of them, and you're going to ugh, is Jim Harbaugh. Nick wants to vomit. Yeah.
Harbaugh and his cargo pants.
But from what I've heard...
What?
Okay, from what I've heard before you go on your ranting, if he was chosen, it would be like a last choice. It would be... Everybody else would have had to say no or wasn't qualified for the job, basically.
Exactly. Because do we really want a man who looks like he's dressing up to go to a clam bake every single football game as the one calling the shots for the Giants? I don't think we do.
He has his own problems right now with Michigan's football team. So.
What? Exactly. He's busy pile driving Michigan football into the ground. Why do you want him here in New York?
The other name, one name that I have actually heard of, a couple of my friends are actually supporting, is Mike Smith, the former...
Mike Smith of the Falcons.
Mike Smith was he was the former Falcons.
Yeah, he was the head coach of the Falcons.
Mm-hmm. He said it's possible that they go with that, only because a couple of my friends feel that the Giants need a defensive mind at the coach. No, not just a defensive mind, but a good disciplinarian, someone who can straighten the team back out. Basically, my picks would be Gelman and Smith, and it's like that Batman quote. It's like, fucking God. Not the hero we need, but the hero we deserve, basically.
I don't think that. I don't think that, because every time we talk about disciplinarian, I'm going to come in here and swing my dick around and show you how tough I am, because really I'm just compensating for a small penis. It always does not work. I'm telling you, remember Greg Schiano?
Yes.
Think of Greg Schiano. I'd try to be the tough guy, the toughy tough guy. And you know where that team went? Straight swirling into the toilet.
I mean, that's fair. The other thing I've heard about Gelman is he doesn't give a shit about veterans. But I don't know. I think he'd give a shit about Eli. I think he would see what is going on in New York and be like, you know what? I'm not going to be that dumb. I am not going to throw a quarterback under the bus like Eli. I would, I think Gettleman would at least let Eli mentor the young rookie quarterbacks. Like we heard last week when he was mentoring Davis Webb.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think, at least, if it comes down to it that we have to, or they want to, begin the transition, I think Eli should stay on and be kind of a mentor. Like how Tony Romo was a mentor for Dak when Tony Romo got injured and Dak took over.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, you know what? I think no matter what, he'll be the quarterback next year, at least in some capacity, because whoever they get will hopefully not be suffering from a massive brain injury.
My only question is, so now what do you do for the rest of this season? Do you just go with Eli the rest of the season? Do you give Webb a chance?
I'd say let the fans calm down by putting Eli back, but you might want to, if the scores get out of hand, you might want to pull Eli and put Davis Webb in.
Well, to look at the schedule, just to do so, let's check the schedule, like our friend Woody Page would. So week 14, this coming week, home game. Well, let me just put it this way. For the rest of this season, the last 4 weeks, every game is a home game against a division rival, except for week 16. Week 16, they're on the road in Arizona against the Cardinals. Because I just feel like one of these weeks, you need to at least start Webb, or at least play him in the second half. See what you
play him in the second half. You at least get to give Eli the respect that people want to see him get. You don't want to throw him under the bus, and God knows that Simp has had a tough time of it. And I love the guy, I really do. But
right? No, because here's my thinking. I don't know if you want to play him too much of Week 17. Week 17 at home against the Redskins, that should be Eli's game. After all this shit. Week 16, I don't know if I want to put him in right away against a Cardinals defense on the road, because I don't want to, shatter the poor kid's confidence.
Again, if the score gets out of hand, I put Davis Webb in.
Right. Obviously not this week. Week 15, I think, would be another game where, if the score got out of hand, put him in. Even though it's against a tough Eagles team, it's like, what do you expect? The Eagles only have 2 losses this season, so it's not like you can shatter his confidence. He's playing a good team.
Yeah, and you know what? The next few games of the last remaining games of the season is going to be a test for Spags to see if he can actually, if he deserves having the interim tag taken off.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, but I feel like, we need Manning back. It's good to see him back. but let's give Webb a chance. That way we know for sure what the hell we're doing in this draft because, like I said, it's going to be one of the biggest drafts in Giants history.
The only thing I can say at this point with any kind of certainty is we can only go up from here.
Yeah, I feel you. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast. Nick, let's talk about the other big news of the day. This is practically breaking news from the time that we are recording it. It only happened like an hour or so ago before recording here. Ohtani has been signed. Ohtani is heading to the Angels?
Huh? I'm sorry. Could you say that into my good ear?
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim have won the Ohtani sweepstakes.
Right, I figured you said something crazy. See, the week before, the three of us, Morganson and you,
right?
We chat on the messenger app, almost like a meeting room for the Unspoken Podcast, and the news had broken, I think, on Friday after we had recorded that episode, saying that the Yankees and the Mets and that wasn't in the West was out of the running, right?
Pretty much if you weren't a West Coast team, you were out of the running.
So that news broke, and not one of my proudest moments, but I didn't take it well, folks. And I know, spoiled Yankee fan, I know what I am, but honestly, I thought the big sticking point, and when they asked Cashman about it, about why Ohtani said no, they said, it's about him. We're a big market team, and I can't change that. And we're on the East Coast, and,
He wanted a West Coast small market team. Yeah. That's what we heard.
But everything I kept hearing from Twitter and baseball analysts was that the small market thing was really the sticking point with him. So You started to see the Mariners, even though Seattle is a major metropolitan city.
Right, but the Mariners aren't one of the biggest ball franchises.
Franchises. You started to see maybe the Twins would.
But the Mariners were the big front runner.
That the Twins were freeing up salary to try and make a run at him. They were on the list, I believe.
I think so, but Mariners ended up finishing the runners up.
So, what we find out is that the small market thing was complete and utter bullshit. Bullshit. And you know what? I honestly,
he just wanted to be close to Japan.
I got to say, he wanted to be close to Japan because if it doesn't work out in Anaheim, he can beat a hasty retreat.
Then
he can hop on a plane and be back in Japan in less time than it would be in the East Coast.
I mean, it's a big risk. It's a big risk for the Angels and a big risk for Ohtani.
Exactly, especially since he only took, preliminary, depending on what we know right now, he signed for $2.25 million, which is
$2.25 million. There's no cash register sound that I can play because, yes, it does sound low, but supposedly this was the maximum offer that the Angels could give him.
This is the maximum offer that they could give him, even though the max that he could be offered was $5 million.
So he took less than...
The Yankees were offering him, and the Mariners, I think, were offering him that. The Rangers were offering that.
So he took less money then for...
He took less money. Yeah. He took a bit of a discount. Yeah.
That's a head scratcher. That's a real head scratcher there. I mean, also, I guess he doesn't want to be the star because, who do the Angels have? Let's see. Talking about a big star, I know the Angels are riddled with. Who's that guy that plays in the outfield though? What's his name? You mean Mike Trout?
Fishman. I think his name is Fishman.
You mean the guy who has been a multiple-time MVP award winner already? The guy who's wasting away his career? He shouldn't be an Angel. He should be elsewhere at this point.
I know. It hurts. I know it hurts, man.
Not even the Yankees. He needs to be elsewhere. He doesn't need to be in Anaheim.
These things work out. that's the way these things are. But you know what? It made me realize that I was wrong to be, so upset that he spurned the Yankees, because honestly, it was giving me Cliff Lee flashbacks, and that was not fun. That period was not fun at all, and maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I don't know what Ohtani's going to be at this point. Everybody keeps hyping him up as the next big thing. But we've heard that about a lot of Japanese stars that aren't Ichiro and Tanaka. And even Tanaka has his moments where he's eminently mortal.
Pretty much. So, now, Intentional Talk, by the way, is on my TV, and they're asking this question, so I just want to ask it too. Are you interested in seeing Ohtani and Mike Trout on the same team?
None whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, the Angels, to me, will always be the Mike Trout team until the day Trout gets... Honestly, at this point, if Ohtani doesn't work out... Because what's the deal? What's Ohtani's deal? How many years is it?
2.
If you know.
2. He's 23. He needs to win until he's 25 to hit the free agent market for real.
Okay. Then what's Mike Trout's contract on him?
I think we're 3 years into a 10-year deal. If I'm not mistaken.
The Angels locked him up through 2020. Okay. Because honestly, around that time, like, not next year, but maybe the year after 2020, if they don't improve, if this Ohtani thing doesn't work out, I honestly would not be surprised if Trout asks for a trade.
That would actually be funny, but,
Because at this point, if Ohtani doesn't work out, it's time for the Angels to rebuild. It's time for them to change their ways and get back.
As it is, they didn't fix all of their problems last season just by signing Ohtani.
Right.
Their starting pitching sucked.
Right, and Ohtani, like we just said, is still a big question mark.
Yes, and what are you going to do with him? Are you going to have him DH on the days he's not pitching? What if he gets hurt?
What is the status of his hitting and pitching situation just in general? We still don't know.
Because hitting and pitching in Japan, the competition level is not what it is like in the majors. And he's only going to be as good as until the first time he gets knocked around.
And furthermore, he signed with an American League team.
So he's going to get a lot of competition. And remember, they're in the same division with the defending World Series champion Astros, and they ain't exactly taking this lying down.
No. And as I was saying about he's on with American League team, so it's not like he can hit and pitch in the same game.
It's not like he can pitch. Yeah, he can't. But you know what? We just got to wait and see if it works out.
Yeah. And speaking of when I was talking about rebuilding with the Angels, well, there is some rebuilding going on down in Florida with the Miami Marlins, and they also have made a recent move. So D. Gordon is no longer a Marlin. He has moved to another M team. He has moved to the M's, to the runners-up of the Ohtani sweepstakes, the Mariners.
I would say it's a consolation prize, but what? They didn't get this was a move to prepare for the guy that they wanted, and they didn't get him.
I mean, is it still a consolation prize? I think it's still somewhat of a consolation prize. I mean, it's a prize for the Marlins. They just got a salary dump.
Yeah, and Jeter is definitely committed to cutting payroll down to the bone.
You know what I'm seeing now? Do you remember the episode of SpongeBob where they sell those pretty patties or whatever, and they do the news report about it, and they're talking about what they could have done with the money, and there's like
we tried shredding it.
Right. And at the end, they just decide to give it away. That's what's going on here. Jeter's walking around the stands like hot dog vendor going, free money, get your free money here, free money.
D. Gordon, got the D. Gordon here. Yeah, get your first D. Gordon
here.
Yeah, but that's another story that broke and had Yankee fans on the potential brink of orgasm is that because we find out via Twitter that Giancarlo Stanton, we've known for a while now that the Marlins had a potential work of a deal worked out with the Giants, the Cardinals, basically eat most of his salary and take him on.
But now that the Giants are out of the Ohtani sweepstakes, with the Giants and Cardinals, Stanton is executing his no-trade clause.
That's right. He does not want to go to the Giants or the Cardinals, and we found out the teams that he does want to play for. So they include the Los Angeles Dodgers, they include the Houston Astros, the Cubs, and the New York Yankees.
Four of the biggest sports franchises in Major League today.
So let's talk about the feasibility of having Judge and Stanton in the same lineup. And I know I'm drooling a bit right now, but that's really involuntary.
I think I'm just gonna say what I said basically last week on the Unspoken Podcast, and that the little kid Yankee fan in me that's obsessed with everything is doing backflips. The journalist in me is a little concerned. Only because we have talked about it for so long that 2018 was going to be, now that all the rookies have had their experience, was going to be a prime year for the Yankees. And then the next year was going to be the big cha-ching, that they were going to go get the superstars, and they were going to be like the Yankees of old. They were going to, once they were under that threshold, it was just going to be... But now we find ourselves in a very peculiar situation. Do we go after Stanton 1 year early and risk all of that money, potentially, that ruining our threshold plan? But it appears the Yankees are thinking about that, and they are not willing to take Stanton on, head on. The Marlins will have to do some... Hell, Jeter will have to scratch Cashman's back for Cashman to scratch Jeter's back.
Exactly. They're going to have to do creative accounting that'll make a mob accountant blush.
But not just for Stanton's deal, though. The supposed rumor is if Stanton becomes a Yankee, the Marlins will have to eat the deal for Jacoby Ellsbury. They will have to eat the deal for Chase Headley. And there's probably going to be another name in there. We mentioned before the podcast in our little meeting. Possible names include Brett Gardner or Starlin Castro.
No, that is really the only framework in which I can see this deal working. Because, look, you always want to balance what you want to find the right balance between patience, because we're affording this team a lot of patience. And this team overachieved last year. I think we're both in agreement.
We'll get into why there's a bit of patience needed next after we finish up this segment.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But I could see. I don't know what to do. Like I said, 15-year-old me is I'm crying right now at the prospect of seeing Judge, Sanchez, and Bird and Stanton in the same fucking lineup.
I don't want you to get hurt again. I don't want you to pull what you pulled with Ohtani.
I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to be like Cliff Lee and have ass-wipe Phillies fans giving me the business.
Well,
not fun, by the way.
While I'm sad, heartbreak music plays in the background.
Yeah, I know, the world's smallest violin. But it could work. I don't know. It's a matter of which team is crazy enough to do it.
I would think, well, for the Marlins, I mean, I would be willing to take him if I'm the Yankees, but my question would be for that, would the Marlins be willing to eat bad contracts? Because Ellsbury, that's a classic New York overpayment.
Yeah, because if Jeter does it, if Jeter actually does it and eats those bad contracts,
kind of ruining his own plan, isn't it?
That's Jeter doing it. That's Jeter doing Cashman a favor.
Right. And let's face it, that'd be ruining his plan. He wants all young guys, and it's not 10 years ago. It's not even 5 years ago. Ellsbury, Gardner, they're not young guys anymore. They're the veterans now. We talked about that all year.
How do you sell that to a fan base who already has to swallow the fact that you're your star? The reason why people watch Marlins baseball, you're trying to trade him.
Right. It's like, yeah, we don't have D. Gordon or Giancarlo Stanton anymore, but we got Jacoby Ellsbury. We got
Huh? Hey, where's everybody going?
Oh my God, there's like, I'm just picturing right now, like, Jeter trying to work to, get fans in with names like that. I mean, they're former Yankees, so they're still Yankees, but, at that point they'd still be former Yankees, and we can't really, diss them for that. But it's like, I'm trying to find this,
watch him sign with the Astros.
Oh God.
And then I'll slit my fucking throat.
It's like it's like you know the Simpsons thing where it's like the guy has a map and it's like all these different trains or something that he sold. That's what it's kind of like. It's
it's a Lyle Lamley, the monorail thing.
Yeah, it's the monorail thing, the monorail episode. I see him Jeter doing something like that if he takes deals like Ellsbury and Headley head on.
There's nothing in the world like a bona fide electrified 6-car Giancarlo Stanton.
I mean, the prospect for Stanton, it's like I said, the Yankees, I think, would be willing to do it. The bigger question, I think, would be, would Jeter be willing to take those contracts on and pretty much spoil his plan for a few more years?
What team would take on $295 million? It's not just the Yankees. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of salary to eat.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, Los Angeles is still a big market. As much as Houston, is a world champion and they did like the whole process, Houston's still a smaller market. I don't know if they can afford a contract like that. Jeter would have to split it, I think, with Houston.
The Dodgers really are the only team I could see that actually working with.
Right. I could see the Dodgers working a deal, something like that. So I would have to put maybe the Dodgers as the favorite. The Yankees might be second, although the Yankees, I think that could be switched because it's Jeter.
I don't know. He doesn't owe Cashman. He doesn't owe this franchise anything.
I know he doesn't. So it's gonna be interesting.
Even though we made him and we could have just as easily destroyed him.
I found an old picture, by the way, and it was with Nomar, A-Rod, and Jeter in the late 90s. And it's like someone said, think about it. At that point, Nomar was the guy at shortstop. A-Rod was the next up-and-comer. And Jeter was just riding the wave of the Yankees. That's what everyone thought. 20 years later, Nomar, his injuries, he had injuries and he deteriorated and he was out of the game by the late 2000s. A-Rod and Jeter became the star.
Funny how that shit works out, doesn't it, folks?
Yep. Funny how it all works out like that. One last thing, going back to the D. Gordon thing. What do you think of D. Gordon in Seattle? I mean,
it could work.
It could work, but they got Robbie Cano. What are they going to do there? Is he going to be DH then?
I think they want him to play center field.
Oh, that's right. I did hear about that. But he's probably going to play center field. All right, that's going to be interesting. I don't know.
You can't see me, but I'm shrugging so hard I think my shoulders are going to hit the ceiling.
Everything is a roll of the dice in baseball.
Exactly. It's a gamble.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Uncertain Podcast Network. Speaking of, Nick, we go from one baseball topic and one coaching decision to a topic that combines both. Ladies and gentlemen, the Yankees have a new manager, and his name is Aaron Boone.
That's right. Boone has come out of left field. He's jumped into the skylight like Batman to somehow take the reins of this team. And holy crap.
We knew it was going to be a former player, but I think most of us were thinking Beltran.
I was thinking Hensley Mullins.
You were thinking Mullins, and then I had the out of left field thing of A-Rod, and I mean J-Lo went and promoted.
Apparently, Cashman asked him.
And
Cashman went on the Michael Kay show and said, I asked him. He said no.
he, as you talked about, that he's happy with his life right now.
Wouldn't you be?
That's a fair point. So instead, we get Aaron Boone, who has moved. He was in the broadcast booth for, it seems like forever now.
Yeah, 7 years.
And now he is back in baseball this time as a manager. Boone, of course.
It's a hell of a gamble by Cash.
Yeah, going with a rookie manager. Boone, of course, those of you who somehow don't know, was the man responsible for sending the Yankees to the 2003 World Series, other than Pedro Martinez saying he was fine.
With a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 11th off of Tim Wakefield, probably one of the most momentous home run swings in franchise history, considering how many this franchise has had.
Unfortunately for Boone, his career shortly ended afterwards. He was playing basketball, and he injured himself, and he wasn't the same.
Blew out his knee playing basketball, and that led to A-Rod.
Yep.
Well, if I was Boone, I'd watch out, because if he blows out his knee, there's going to be A-Rod there. Hey! It's a nice manager spot there you got. It'd be a shame if anything happened to it.
I'm picturing the meme right now. I'm picturing that in meme form where it gets closer and closer on his face.
It'd be a shame if anything happened to it.
Nick's just staring into the camera so intensely right now. But as we were talking before the show, I mean, this is a little bit of a gamble, but supposedly Boone knows what he's getting himself into.
Yeah, and they needed somebody who's completely analytics driven, and he's basically very giving with the warm and fuzzies. So they want a guy who's not. Joe Girardi was, by all accounts, a nice guy,
but he was old school.
He was old school. He's very tense. His neck muscles were so tense during games you could bounce quarters off them. But it's
weird because it's like you need a calm personality, or at times at least. But I understood at least where Girardi was coming from, because you do want to take the game seriously. You do want to go out and play hard every day.
But he was a clenched fist.
They need somebody who basically will absorb all of the heat, basically. I guess what I'm trying to say is, instead of being a clenched fist, it's like he's clenching, and then it's just he takes a breath and opens up his hands and lets it all out, I guess. But they also want somebody who is, young. Because, of course, let's take a look at the two managers that just got to the World Series.
Yeah, they're both in their 40s, right?
Mm-hmm. Dave Roberts was in his 40s, and Houston's manager also in his 40s.
Yeah, it was actually Boone talking to the two of them, believe it or not, that stoked his, hey, maybe I can do this. Apparently,
really?
he was wary about all the layoffs that ESPN was going to do, and he figured he'd be next. So Boone figured that the writing was on the wall, and why not try your hand at managing? And you just got the keys to a Maserati, fella.
Well, I mean, coming from that perspective, because I didn't hear that, I mean, kind of fair. I mean, as I said on this podcast before, I wouldn't be surprised if ESPN makes a deal with like the UFC or the NHL next, and then more layoffs everywhere.
You get a layoff, and you get a layoff, and you get a layoff. Layoffs all around.
So you know what? Good on Boone. He wants it. He gets to not take that risk, and he gets to go somewhere else. Gets to try his hand at something else.
But is he? I asked this question before. How much rope are you willing to give him?
I'm willing to give him, because it's interesting, because when they fired Girardi, I remember us on this podcast saying that in the next 5 to 7 years they have to win a World Series now. So it's mostly because we were incredulous that they would. After what was, by all accounts, still a successful season, even though you didn't go as far as you wanted to, you went farther than anybody had expected you to. Right. And I'll still give them some flack because, I understand what they're trying to, do, but I'll still give them some flack that after a season like that, they'd still get rid of him. So, and I don't know. I think maybe it's tough because I want to say 5-6 years, but what if they land Stanton? Then the rope's going to get shorter.
Yeah, well, he signed a 3-year deal. So I'm going to give him. I would say I would have to give him 2 seasons to straighten it out. Well, to really start rolling with this, because the proof is really going to be not only going to be in the win-loss record and what you do in the playoffs. It's going to be the relationship that you forge with the players, because that was one of the express reasons why you hired him.
Right. So here's what I'll say. I'll give him the 5 to 7 year thing that we talked about before. But if it gets shorter, but then again, he's only on a 3-year deal. So I'll give him the whole deal. I'll reduce it to 2 if they sign Stanton. And if they signed Stanton, I would also I'll word it differently from what I said before the show. I don't know if I would tie Cashman to the rope too, but I would at least grab his hand and put it on it. Like, okay, if it fails, then you're the one who pulled the trigger on Boone, and you're the one who triggered, Stanton. So you would have to take a lot of heat for that too if it fails.
And I'm thinking maybe he should do some rejiggering in this lineup. Meaning drop Judge the third in the order.
That'd be interesting, but I think it's the matter of we got to see who even makes the team, because I've said this on the podcast before. This is going to be one of the most interesting spring trainings ever. They got all that young blood. They're going to have, depends who they get in this offseason. It's going to be a fight for roster spots. It's going to be a fight for starting spots.
Prove you belong. That's what it's going to be.
Which is what the Giants should be doing, by the way.
Yeah.
So, you're listening to the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network. And speaking of the NFL, let's just jump into some of the stuff that we saw in Week 13.
God, did you see a lot of shit.
So, Week 13, as we mentioned, Giants played the Raiders. Gino's final line. My phone has frozen, so give me a minute to get the line up. But you said it was like Eli's, and let's take a look. So Geno Smith's final line was he was 21 for 34, 212 yards, 1 passing touchdown, but he was sacked 3 times, and 2 times he fumbled, and both times he lost the fumble. So I would say for the sacks and the fumbles lost, I think that's kind of worse than Eli.
Yeah, because at least he can hold.
At least Eli knows how to hold on to the ball.
Yeah, I guess, but the less we have to talk about that game, the better off we'll be.
Okay, so Minnesota and Atlanta played a hell of a game. So one of these NFL recappers that I watch, he's absolutely funny on YouTube, but he actually was serious and said that this game reminded him of one of like the old 1970s games. Like he wished he had like a highlight reel or like Sam Spence music playing underneath, because this was a defensive juggernaut, 14-9.
And it's going to be. I think the Vikings are legit. I really do.
Well, they are the number one seed now in the NFC because the Eagles somehow lost to the Seahawks. I told you guys not to write off the Seahawks. I thought the Eagles were going to win, but I told you guys that the Seahawks still had something in them.
If you keep saying "I told you so," it's going to lose all meaning.
But that's what half of this podcast sometimes feels like us going. Each of us going, "I told you so" to the other.
Okay, so I fucked up. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Sumbi?
No, I wish Morganson was here because it'd be more of a, at him.
Yeah, I was just going along with him. Don't blame me. Don't shoot the messenger.
I know. So Morganson,
when it comes to NFL picks, I already don't know what I'm talking about. No hablo inglés.
Speaking of, I called it going back to the Minnesota-Atlanta game. I told you all that the fourth quarter they were going to choke the lead, and Atlanta choked the lead. It's like you said on Sunday. It's become clockwork at this point.
It's snake bit. They literally. I don't see how this is getting to the point of comedy.
But I'll give them this. They did rebound last night. A nice 20-17 win over the Saints. A well-needed game at home. People thought, after Sunday, they needed this win over the Saints. So yesterday in Week 14 start, they did get that big win. Unfortunately for the Saints, Alvin Kamara is now dealing with a concussion. So that stinks.
Well, there goes that.
Yep. There goes that. I mean, Mark Ingram's going to have to really step up the game now. He's going to take on both loads.
Oh my God.
New England just blew out Buffalo 23-3. Can I ask you this, Nick? How the fuck did San Francisco beat Chicago?
Who cares? That means we get a better draft pick. Woo!
That means, Nick, 1-0 in the Jimmy Garoppolo era in San Francisco. Looks like Jimmy Garoppolo might be... It's time to go on the Jimmy G hype train already.
1-0. 1-0. 1-0.
Oh, by the way, also, Chicago also lost via... It was death by field goal. Not even normal field goal. It was Robbie Gould field goals. It was the guy that they cut before. So... Oh,
revenge is a bitch, isn't it?
Yep. Let's see. Miami somehow killed Denver. Let's just be real. The Jets beat Kansas City. That last drive.
Pretenders. That's what the Chiefs were.
You get a flag. You get a flag. You get a flag. Oh, wait. What are you doing with my flag, Peters? You're just tossing it into the stands.
You know what? That guy looks like he could have a flag. Here, have a flag, asshole. What the fuck are you doing?
I'm honestly surprised. Someone told me, it's just a piece of cloth, but still, because it was a ref, I was surprised he wasn't ejected.
I thought he was. I texted you thinking I thought he got thrown out of the game because he was getting escorted by one of the team personnel to the locker room. And I thought that meant he was going.
And then a commentator saying that he's not ejected. I'm like, wow, you just fucking quit on your team. If I was a coach, if I was personnel, I'd be pissed.
And they actually suspended Marcus Peters for that, didn't they?
Did they? Honestly, I would have. I would have for a game.
But Andy, Jesus, we thought you guys were legit. What the fuck happened?
Nick, this week
look, I know his mustache does about 25% of the thinking, but I don't. What the fuck? Everybody thought he was so good.
Nick, we have learned a lesson that we have been talking about. It's like every week it gets inserted into our heads. The AFC West sucks.
Yeah, it's a universal law at this point. It's as undeniable and ever present as gravity.
The Chiefs, the Chargers, and Oakland are all tied at 6-6 for first in the division. And I don't know, man. Is it time to go to the fantasy football route of, okay, the division winners and then just every other good team gets in? And like the NBA is going with just, the top 8 teams in each conference. Is it time for that? Even if you win the division with a 7-9, if you're not in, you're not in.
Well, the playoff structure in the NFL is a fiddle fucking mess anyway.
Now that the Vikings might have a chance at one of those top 2 seeds, shh. For our dad's sakes, shh.
Well, he still doesn't want me to talk about it because he doesn't want to jinx it. Every time I bring it up, he's like, no, shut up.
But let's get to the real story. Pittsburgh beats Cincinnati 23-20, although Pittsburgh noticeably downplayed to their competition yet again because Cincinnati was killing them in the first half.
But that was a shit fight of a game. And poor Ryan
Let's talk about the big stuff that happened this week with the NFL. Rob Gronkowski suspended for a game for a late hit, which was a noticeable late hit. One of the Buffalo Bills players was lying on the ground. The play had already been whistled dead, I think. And then Gronk just flops on top of him. What the fuck?
Did he even say he didn't hear the whistle?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything from Gronk. All I heard was what you talked about before on the pre-show meeting of that Belichick was saying how it wasn't a late hit, which it was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, let's not mince words. He called it bullshit.
He did.
Which, to get any kind of emotion out of Bill Belichick at all, that's a feat in and of itself. Because that man, I swear to God, it's like getting into a staring contest with a brick wall. You're going to lose.
But that wasn't the only injury that happened. We had a number of noticeable injuries in Monday Night Football. Joe Mixon concussed and had to leave the game early on in the first half, which almost ruined one of my fantasy football teams. Almost ruined its playoff chances. But still, you don't want to... But still, Mixon's concussed. Who else did I mention was concussed? Oh, Alvin Kamara yesterday. Jesus Christ, the NFL's getting concussions everywhere.
Ryan Shazier may never walk again.
That injury... No, I don't want to think about that. That was... No.
It's true.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Fuck. And then, what's his name from Pittsburgh? The young draft pick from this past season, Juju, got suspended for a game.
And there's going to come a point where Goodell's going to have to do something about it.
Well, I mean, Juju gets suspended one game, but Gronk also only gets one game, and then the other guy just gets a fine. I mean, NFL disciplinary system is a joke.
We know that, though. I mean, we've known that for the last couple of years.
And it doesn't help that leads to our next segment. Roger Goodell has gotten his extension.
$200 million.
$200 million. Do you hear that? That's Jerry Jones crying.
He cries money? Wow.
Yes, exactly. He cries, and then all these coins are coming out instead of tears. It's like, oh, money. Let me get the money. Okay, I'm going to cry again. Oh, more money.
So does that mean I can punch him in the face and he'd start vomiting up money? I'd really love to do that.
But here we are. We've gotten the wish that I don't know if anybody wants. Goodell gets his extension.
Well, $200 million, it's definitely nothing to sneeze at.
Oh, my God.
Think of all the solid gold toilets you could buy.
I bet you we go to Goodell's mansion and he'll have solid gold toilets in every room.
They'll have a whole village of them.
Oh, God. You could probably build a village in I don't know, in Ghana with all of the gold that he would take to make the golden toilets.
Yeah, put solid gold toilets in Ghana and call it Flushing Meadows.
Oh my god, I didn't see that coming. That was a good one. God, I don't know. All I'm going to say is this. When Fox News and NBC are both yelling at you in, like, editorials for this shit, you have fucked up.
You done fucked up now, folks.
Because, let me just Google, like, if I Google Roger Goodell extension, let's see some of the stories that come up. Let's try to find some of the opinion stories. Fox. Oh, here it is that I mentioned before. Fox News. Roger Goodell's NFL contract is a slap in the face to all patriotic Americans.
Of course, they had to bring in patriotism in it.
Let's see. I'm trying to find stuff that's like, that's like opinion. New York Times ending weeks of discord because of his contract extension. New York Post, Roger Goodell defeats Jerry Jones. What is this, a professional wrestling match?
You know what? My money would probably be on that match for them both to just knock each other out.
Oh, here's one from WEEI. From, let's see who this is. Is this then? This is from Alex Reimer of WEEI Sports Radio. I believe it's one of the New England sports radio. I think it's New England at least. But basically, let's hope Roger Goodell's absurd contract extension finally. Oh, come on, the title's not even fully in there. Well, finally forces NFL players to stand up for themselves. Let's see where WEI is Boston. You know what? I've said it before on this podcast. I'll say it again. You know what this contract extension just is? It's just more of a guarantee that there's going to be a lockout in 2021.
We just will never get rid of him.
They're gonna keep Maurice Smith on for the NFLPA and just there's gonna be a lockout. And I can't believe I'm gonna suggest this, but after all of the controversy we've had this season, maybe we need a lockout. Maybe we need a year of no football just to remind ourselves what it means to us. I can't believe I'm suggesting that, but at this point, it's worth talking about. Maybe we need it.
Maybe we need it, and maybe it's the thing that finally cuts the NFL down to size.
Yeah,
But,
what's that song? Don't know what you got till it's gone.
We're gonna find out just how much the NFL means to people.
Right. We're gonna find out, and then
maybe it needs to go. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe it needs a bit of a reality check.
Maybe it needs I don't mean like to go away for. I mean like maybe it needs that lockout to reboot. Basically, it needs a rest for it to eventually come back, and then all the people will fill the stadiums again because football will be back. Maybe
I'd like to not have. Yeah, I did. So we can just have a reset on all these fucking talking points. So we can stop talking about. So we can stop talking about kneeling. So we can stop talking about
Goodell.
Everything.
We can stop talking about Goodell, ownership, domestic abuse, everything. We need stadium financing too. Yes. Maybe we need a breath. We need a breath. I can't believe I've gotten to that point, but maybe we do. But then what do we do to fill? I guess we'll be watching MLS soccer then for those weekends.
Never.
Really? You're not even going to give MLS a chance?
Listen closely.
Okay.
Listen good. Never.
I mean, are we dismissed from World Cup coverage for the next year at least?
Never.
No, I said, are we dismissed from World Cup coverage at least because the USA didn't make it?
Yep. I can't.
Okay,
I can't. I don't give a shit.
I told you, right? I told you about the three countries I root for: USA, Italy, Netherlands, and none of them are in the World Cup next year.
So, you know what? We have expressed permission to not give a fuck.
Nope, I'm just not going to give a fuck. Speaking of not give a fuck, I can't believe we have to bring up this guy I really don't give a fuck about. But, fuck. Lavar Ball again.
He's pretty much the Lex Luthor to your Superman, the Joker to your Batman, he's the Red Skull to your Captain America.
He's the face I see in my nightmares. He is, every time I have a nightmare, he's there and he's talking about his boy Lonzo.
That's probably your version of hell. You strapped to a chair and he's just looking at you, refusing to break eye contact, and just keeps talking about his son.
Well, rather it should be sons now because, well, this remember when we talked about LiAngelo a couple of weeks ago? Well, we just got a really interesting development. He has pulled LiAngelo from UCLA. LiAngelo is a freshman. He did not play one game this whole season.
So if you were thinking of buying his jersey from the UCLA team shop, you're an idiot.
Well, you know, you don't have to go to the UCLA team shop. Well, you could fly to China and you could probably take it for free.
Yeah, 5-finger discount. It worked for him.
Exactly. But Lavar has basically gone on and said that he feels that they don't need UCLA because he's ended what's the third son, LaMelo?
Yeah.
He had basically saying LaMelo will not go to UCLA. He will not go to college. He will go
play overseas, I think.
He wants LiAngelo and LaMelo to play overseas. They have a new deal. They had this big baller brand deal or something like that, but because it violates NCAA amateur rules. So, you know, LaMelo and LiAngelo are ineligible now for NCAA. They had that deal. They also have a rookie agent. A rookie agent, not even an established agent. No established agent wants to touch this family.
Is it possible they could have just picked up the guy from a car wash?
I mean, at this point, I don't know. Would you want to touch the Ball family? Because I don't think our professor would.
No, he wouldn't. And he's gone on many rants this semester about the Ball family. And I can't wait for this whole thing to backfire spectacularly. I
can't. So, I know you guys, you and Morgeson were saying that I shouldn't take it that far, that, you know, Lavar Ball, when I said Lavar Ball was a terrible father, but I'm going to say it again. He is a terrible father. And I'm going to give you two reasons why. Number one, again, he is living off of his sons. He is living vicariously through his sons. And it's just, I don't understand. Because when I was born, there were a couple of people in my family who were thinking maybe I would be named after my dad. And my dad didn't want that. Because my dad wanted me to have my own individuality. And number two, actually, let me make it three things. Number one, that. Number two, which kind of plays off of number one, let your kids have the fucking choice. Let them decide what they want to do. Don't force them into something they don't want to do. What if tomorrow LaMelo says he doesn't want to play basketball anymore? Answer me that. What if he says he doesn't want to play basketball tomorrow?
I think he does, though. I mean, he's a
kid, but he's a kid. He can have a change of heart. What if that happens?
LaVar would probably go crazy.
Right. What were you saying, by the way, before I?
But it's not that I was saying you shouldn't go too far. I think you shouldn't take this so seriously because I think that's exactly what LaVar Ball wants us to do. He's selling us a product, and we're buying it hook, line, and sinker every time we talk about him. He loves this. So the Ball family loves the fact that you're talking about him. Good, bad, it's all publicity for him, and that means it's more money in his pocket. He wouldn't be there if there wasn't a market for this shit.
Well, that leads me to number 3.
So really, he's a genius. An evil genius, but a genius nonetheless.
Right. He's not the evil genius that Vince McMahon is. Vince McMahon is bigger than Lavar Ball when it comes to that.
Well, because he parlayed 30 moves into an empire. But Lavar, the Ball family is not an empire when it's focused on just those 4.
Right, but also number 3, I hope he knows what he's getting himself into for his kids. Because overseas is not a joke. Playing overseas, you might think, it's not NBA level, but playing overseas is still not a joke. Have you seen some of these European leagues?
Well, some of them are really crazy.
Right. Yeah. Who came out of overseas European league? Who's that guy in the Knicks? Who's the guy we all adore, Kristaps Porzingis?
Perhaps Snaps Porzingis, I think his name is.
But my point, these are, and some of these guys are established college players who are playing over there now. Like a couple of the guys who, at my undergrad who had played and did well, they're overseas now playing. It's not a joke. Let's consider this. LiAngelo didn't play a game for UCLA. And high school and college are 2 different things. And overseas is a whole other league. So,
but that's why I say this is going to backfire and backfire spectacularly.
Right. And it's going to be the same for LaMelo. And I'm honestly going to say it. I'm going to further my prediction more. Lonzo Ball will go down as one of the biggest flops in NBA history. Maybe he'll get the Kardashian-like fame with the social media and everything, because LaVar Ball, the evil genius, yada yada. But their basketball careers are in the toilet, as far as I'm concerned.
If you have that Kardashian fame with the social media, that's all you need nowadays.
I guess. But they want to be the basketball family, and guess what? LaVar Ball wants, the NBA. Guess what?
That's what he wants, but if this is all he can get, I think he can be pretty satisfied with that.
Well, he'll have to be satisfied because they're going to fail. The Ball family will fail on a basketball level. I said basketball level, not social media level, entertainment level, but basketball level. They will fail.
I heard you.
And for some reason, Lonzo Ball's still in consideration for a Rookie of the Year award, which just goes to show you how weak this NBA rookie class is.
You know what? It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and then your head is literally going to detach from your body.
I mean, at this point, but the NBA's insanity anyways. I mean, number one, there's the predictability of, Cleveland and Golden State. And now the Brooklyn Nets and Philadelphia 76ers made the trade, and, well, there goes the process.
Process? What process?
Maybe processed cheese, I guess?
The tax process? What is this process that you speak?
What is this process that the Philadelphia is talking about?
What is the sorcery you speak of?
Of course, what I am talking about is the 76ers and the Nets made a deal. I'm trying to get the details up on this deal.
Well, Brooklyn is going to send Trevor Booker to the 76ers, and the Nets get Jahlil Okafor.
Jahlil Okafor, and I think they get somebody else too. That's why I'm trying to get the official deal up right now. The official deal was the Sixers deal Stalkus and a 2019 second-round pick by way of the New York Knicks to the Nets for Trevor Booker. So Okafor is now a Net. What do you think?
How the mighty have fallen.
I just hope this means more of the Nets and Sixers sucking so the Knicks can just, we're mediocre right now, but hopefully we can get to the rise. hopefully the Nets and the Nets and the 76ers stay where they are as a Knicks fan.
That should be their slogan. At least we're not the Nets.
At this point, I think it is the team slogan. After all these past seasons, I think that is the team slogan. At least we're not the Nets.
Yeah, you got to take your blessings where you can find them, right?
Right. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast for the Undetermined Podcast Network. Nick, get your Week 14 games up.
Ready to go.
All right. Let us begin another edition of the Rapid Rundown. All right. 1 o'clock games. Let's start things off in Buffalo. We got Indianapolis Colts and Buffalo Bills.
What a shitty game.
Yeah, I picked a shitty game to start off with. I apologize. I got to go with Buffalo, man. I just can't trust Indy.
Yeah. I'm going. No. I don't trust it. I don't trust Indy as far as I can throw him. No, I'm taking.
All right. Another 1 o'clock game. Let's get this over with. It's Dallas and the Giants. If the Giants somehow win, it'll be another case of now you fuckers show up.
Now you fuckers show up.
And I mean, but they're also playing a Dallas team without without Ezekiel Elliott. So,
if they win the game, I have the spare Santa hat that I have lying around in a closet. I will eat that hat if they win.
I gotta go with Dallas. I just gotta go with Dallas. I think they're gonna make the Eagles make a run for their money. You know, like the Eagles will have to win a game, basically.
I'm taking Dallas 27.
All right, Minnesota and Carolina. The Vikings have won 8 games in a row and are 5-1 on the road. They're playing Carolina. You know what? As much as some people might cry favoritism and nepotism and me hating Cam Newton, I got to go Minnesota. I have to. They're too much on a momentous streak right now. They can't lose it in Carolina.
The results speak for themselves. I think they'll win by 7.
Chicago and Cincinnati. Oh boy, another shitty game. And I say shitty game only because Cincinnati is without Joe Mixon, still out with the concussion. So Giovanni Bernard is basically taking over the whole Cincinnati backfield right now.
I'm still going to take the Bengals because the Bears suck.
I'm still going to take the Bengals because Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, I mean, why?
Green Bay and Cleveland. So Cleveland has Josh Gordon back, and Josh Gordon looks like he hasn't missed a beat. And yet, I'm still going to take Green Bay because it seems like Green Bay is really pushing, to stay in the fight. And in Week 15, there is a possibility Aaron Rodgers might be back.
Plus, come on, it's the Browns. What exactly are you expecting?
Yeah, I'm not expecting too much, but I'm saying, I'm just saying, now that Josh Gordon's back, they have Isaiah Crowell and Duke Johnson. And this is, let's face it, a weakened Green Bay team. So if there was a time for Cleveland to strike, it'd be now. But I guess they're not going to, and they don't want to ruin that little 0-16 parade.
Yeah, let's at least give them the parade.
All right, so I'm going Green Bay. Let's talk another shitty matchup. It's San Francisco and Houston. God, I miss Deshaun Watson.
I guess I got to take Garoppolo. I'm taking the Niners.
I cannot believe I am saying this, but I'm also going to take the 49ers. Come on.
2-0.
2-0. 2-0.
2-0.
All aboard the Jimmy G hype train.
Choo-choo, motherfuckers!
Okay, here's the game of the week, possibly, because it's for first place in the division. The bad news, it's the worst division in football because it's Oakland and Kansas City. The Chiefs are 1-4 since a 31-30 loss to the Raiders in Week 7. I think Kansas City choke job continues. I'm going with Oakland at this rate.
I'm going to take Oakland by 3.
Detroit and Tampa Bay. Famous Jameis is back. He had a nice performance last time, but God, this Tampa Bay's defense sucked.
and he can't hold on to the ball.
I'm going Detroit.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Detroit too.
Although, let me double check because I do want to see how Matt Stafford is. Matt Stafford, is questionable. He is progressing. He is throwing decently. Let's see. Stafford apparently is still throwing, so it looks like he will be okay. So I think I'll still go with the Lions. But if Stafford doesn't play somehow, that's big trouble for Detroit.
Big trouble.
All right. We're going to the 4 o'clock games now. Tennessee and Arizona. As I mentioned before, Arizona, without Carson Palmer, without Adrian Peterson, instead, once again, they get the Blaine Gabbert show. Yo, Gabbert.
Why does everybody want to keep seeing this show?
I don't know.
He's like the Big Bang Theory of NFL quarterbacks.
But then you get Marcus Mariota for the Tennessee Titans, and Mariota's hard to trust at this point, fantasy-wise or regular football-wise. And it's sad because Mariota was supposed to have a hell of a year this year.
Shows how much we know. I guess I'm gonna have to. No, fuck it. I'm taking the Titans.
This is a coin flip game, and I take the Titans. But it's going to be a low-scoring affair, and the Titans are going to win by only 3 points.
It's going to be a snooze fest. It's going to be fucking boring.
And speaking of which, you got the Jets and the Denver Broncos. God, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to pick the Jets.
Of course, Trevor Siemian can't get out of his own way.
C.J. Anderson sucks with Siemian there. C.J. Anderson's just a letdown this year. Demaryius Thomas is, I don't know, Demaryius Thomas with Siemian's a fucking letdown. So I don't know, man. Denver
with both hands on a roadmap.
Denver is just digging its own grave.
Let's hand them a shovel, shall we? I'll take the Jets by 10.
I'm gonna take the Jets by 14. Washington and the Chargers. Okay, this one's you got a 6-6 who is trying to fight for a playoff spot, and you got a 5-7 team who is hoping to get a playoff spot, but will probably not. You know what? It's Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon, and Phillip Rivers. He's still Phillip Rivers. He is Eli Manning if Eli Manning was wasting away a career on a bad team.
So basically, the Giants, and every year they didn't win the Super Bowl.
Oh God! So you know what? I'm just gonna go with the Chargers. I'm gonna go Chargers.
I got it. I mean, they still have more talent.
They still have more of a fight too.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Here are the games I want to see. Well, here's at least one game I want to see. Seattle and Jacksonville. Seahawks have won 7 of their last 9 games. The Jags have won 5 of their last 6. You've got the Legion of Boom against one of the most surprising and rising defenses we've had this year. And then you've got Russell Wilson against Blake Bortles. I mean, God, I want to say it's going to be a defensive, heavy game. But I think Seattle's offense, because it's Seattle and they don't have something called a Blake Bortles at quarterback, will get the win. They'll edge it out.
Yeah, I gotta take Russell Wilson over Teenage Mutant Ninja Bortles.
Plus, I think the Seahawks showed last Sunday with a win over the Eagles that they're not out of it. They're contenders. They're still in a fight.
No matter how much we don't want them to be, they are.
The Seahawks were in the Super Bowl twice in the last few years. It's not like, they drastically went down. The Giants did. Philadelphia and the Los Angeles Rams. Both teams have the highest scoring offenses in the league. They both are averaging 30.1 points per game. Oh my God. The Rams are the home team here. Philly needs to win to clinch a playoff spot. The Rams, they need a win, and then they need several teams to lose to clinch a playoff spot. You got Carson Wentz versus Jared Goff. You got LeGarrette Blount versus Todd Gurley. You got Alshon Jeffrey versus Well, Robert Woods is injured, unfortunately, for the Rams. So instead you got Cooper Kupp, but Cooper Kupp, the rookie, playing against a defense like the Eagles. I think it's going to be close. I think the Rams are going to put up a hell of a fight. But I think Philly clinches the NFC East this week.
Yeah, Philly has the momentum, so I'll take that.
But I don't think LA will be in too much trouble with this loss. I think they'll still put up a hell of a fight. They might get into upset territory. But I think Philly is just going to be a little too much.
It's going to be worth watching anyway.
Right. But it's like Nick said last week, Robert Woods' injury, that hurts that team. Sunday night game of the week. It's Baltimore and Pittsburgh. It's another AFC North fight. Hopefully it's calmer than the Monday night game. The Steelers are 10-2, and they can clinch their third AFC North title in 4 seasons with a win or a tie. I want to say the Steelers, but like we've said, the Steelers have noticeably played down to their competition. So, but you know what? It's still the Steelers. They're still the team of the AFC North. I gotta pick them. I
guess I gotta go with them too.
And then the Monday night game of the week, it's New England and Miami. The Patriots are averaging 29 points per game, ranking first in the AFC. The Dolphins averaging 17.4. It seems some players' roles haven't slowed with the return of Jay Cutler. For example, Kenny Stills has still had a rise. Damian Williams still has the running game. But you know what? It's New England. You can't doubt Tom Brady. Even without Gronk. They showed last year they can win without Gronk.
He'll still find a way to do it.
Right, so yeah, I gotta go with the Patriots, even with Gronk out.
Yeah, I'm going with it.
Alright, and I guess we'll mention the Thursday night game of the week. Do we have to mention the Thursday night game of the week for next week?
Oh, God, I don't wanna.
Yeah, you see it? Do you see it? Look at it. Just look at it.
It's the fucking.
It's the Peyton Manning Bowl without Peyton Manning.
It's the Broncos and the Colts, folks.
Oh God! And I refuse to pick a winner for that game.
I'm punting. I'm punting. I'm.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna pull a Gordon Ramsay right here. When both teams suck in the challenge, and he's like, they do the kitchen service and they both suck, and he throws them both out. It's like, winning team? No winning team. You both lose. So you know what? I will also punt. Goodbye. I'm not taking a winner in this game. Also, next week starts the Saturday night games. Woohoo! Saturday night football.
Woo!
But we'll talk about that next week. So that is going to do it. I think we predicted the same team for each game. Is that a first? Is this a first? I think we picked the same team for each game.
Great minds think alike.
That, or we just think the NFL is this predictable this week.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go with that. You're right.
And after seeing that Week 15 Thursday night game, we need more flex scheduling, NFL. Do you hear me?
It just sucks. It just sucks. The season sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks.
It sucks. That's going to do it for us. Go like us on Facebook at the UDUP. Go like us on Twitter at the UDUP. Go like us on Periscope at the UDUP. Go follow the Undetermined Podcast Network at the UD Network on Facebook, Twitter. Go like and follow all the rest of the Undetermined Podcast Network accounts, and that's going to do it for us. I'm Tom Albano, and for Nick Fodera, we'll see you for episode 49 next week. We're on the road to episode 50, so stay tuned for that. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, the Cheap Seat Sports production part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Yeah, put solid gold toilets in Ghana and call it Flushing Meadows.